everybody. How is everybody doing this afternoon? I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to be here with my friends. We're excited to be able to talk about some new things related to messaging and story and pitching and stages and tech. Just lots of awesome things. Honestly, we are middle of October. I don't know if anybody is having trouble believing that we're in the middle of October. It's the fourth quarter, trying to wrap up some of our goals for 2021 and looking ahead to 2022. So I couldn't be happier to be here with my friends Shannon Bussey and Robert Kennedy. We are here to talk about all kinds of great things to help you finish up the year well and to get set up for 2022. How y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
Are you ready for 2022?
I'm getting there. I was sharing a lot of things that are happening. Like the year is kind of coming to a fast close. I feel like I'm at the end of the roller coaster ride. Your roller coaster speeds up at the end. That's where I feel like I'm at right now. But working on lots of great stuff related to speakers and helping people get on stages. So I'm excited about that. Shannon, how about you? How's the year finishing up for you?
Yeah, good. It's like ramping up and winding down kind of all at the same time, which doesn't make sense. But some things are like ready to launch. Other things are kind of like, okay, let's slow this piece down. But yeah, I love it. I mean, I love fall. I love heading into the end of the year.
So good. Yeah. How about you, Robert? How are you finding this space of the fourth quarter?
It's good. It's good. I think there was definitely some slow stuff happening in July, August, and I guess that's maybe to be expected because like the rest of us, businesses may be on vacation too. But some things have started to kind of pick up a bit in September, October. And I actually 2 weeks ago went to Delaware. My mastermind group and I, we sat down for a day and did our strategic planning for 2022. Wow. So we got the next year plotted out. And so now my job is just to organize that stuff and formalize that into a guiding document for myself so that we can we can put this on the door in the office and everything should be related to it. I literally in my team meeting this morning went through those things with my team and said, listen, don't let me off the hook. If I start straying from these things, then remind me. So we're going to have these things front and center because 2022 is going to be different. It's got to be a different year. It's got to be a more focused year, and we're going to launch. We're going to launch some things.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I think everyone could sounds like they could use a mastermind community like you've got. So that might be a conversation for us to have the next time we all get together. Is like, okay, how do you find great community? So we'll have to talk about that. But that is awesome. Today we thought we'd all get together and talk about some of the questions that we all get asked as part of our normal course of working with entrepreneurs and business owners, coaches, consultants, authors. Like we all have a chance to work with folks like that, and so we all get some questions that kind of come up pretty regularly. So today we're calling today's session, we're calling it our FAQ. Each of us is going to share some of the questions that we get on a regular basis and what those answers are to kind of help you understand what you need to be doing, how you need to be engaging from each of our three perspectives. What's great about the three of us is we each come from a different place. We have a different expertise, and so we'll be sharing some of the questions that we get and some of the answers that you need to know so that you can engage in your business and your story and your public presence just a lot more effectively. So we're excited to be able to do that. We're excited to be able to talk to you. We want you to talk to us. So if you've got questions or comments, we want to see them in the comments. Please let us know. We want to be able to engage with you. So I want to make sure that we can answer more of your questions if we don't answer it fully. So we're going to kind of start in kind of the order in which we feel like our expertises kind of work together and link in. So I'm going to throw it over to Shannon. She is an incredible brand story strategist. She's amazing at helping people draw their stories out of their experiences so that they build and match the brand that you are trying to put out into the world. So, Shannon, tell us about the questions that you get about brand story and what some of those answers are. Like, what do the people need to know about brand story?
Thank you so much, Aurora. I appreciate it. Your kind words. So yeah, a lot of questions surrounding story, and how to find it, what to do with it, those kind of things. But I chose three that come up over and over again, depending on the place you are in your journey of storytelling and using your story in your marketing, in your business, as a speaker, in your company, depending on what the purpose is. But the first one that I want to talk about is it okay to tell my story? And this one I get usually from people who are aspiring speakers, or they are building a business. They are, growing their business, trying to get a team kind of thing. But this question is it okay to tell my story? And this question really is an intention question, which not everybody realizes, but it comes down to intention, because sometimes when I talk to clients, they are sifting through some pretty heavy stuff, especially as entrepreneurs. There is something about people that are entrepreneurs that they have this fire, this drive. They have overcome some pretty big stuff in their lives, or they are just passionately dedicated to a cause, to changing something, to building something better. And so sometimes it requires some extra intention to really figure out how you tell your story in a way that honors you, honors your experience, and honors anyone in your life that you have some kind of protection over. Not every story from the past needs to be, thrown out there in all of its its detailed, messy glory. It just isn't necessary. More often than not, more details actually detract from the power of your story.
Oh,
A lot of the
wow.
details, they're irrelevant. They don't matter. And so timelines can be deliberately vague. People in the story can be deliberately vague. There are strategies that we can use to make sure that the intent of sharing, which is to inspire, empower, educate, those things, that remains intact. And there's a lot that can be left out and still honor the experience you had and the people that you have in your life that you're trying to protect. So is it okay to tell your story is always a yes, but there's a but there. But
Right.
be clear on your intention and understand what you can leave out and which parts of it you really need to focus on and drill down. The second question that I get a lot is, what should I include in my story? And this is related to the first. And this one is really, though, a connection question. So when people understand who their audience is that they're talking to, who they're serving through their storytelling, this question is a lot easier to answer, because this is a question where you have to step outside of your own perspective on your story, and you need to step into their perspective, and you need to look at your story through their eyes. If there are things that you're considering including or not including, ask yourself, does it build trust? That's pretty much the most important question that you can ask. Does it build trust? And if it does build trust in you, in your message, in your service, then you're pretty good. But you just make sure that you're looking at it through their eyes, not your eyes. And sometimes that's really hard to do by yourself. So I never recommend that people do story work alone, because it's really, really hard to wade through that all on your own. You need that outside perspective to help you shift into someone else's eyes, someone else's paradigm, the way they see what you're talking about, what your story is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Third question that I want to talk about is this one. How do I structure my story? And this one really is a mechanics question, and it's all about the framework. It's really hard unless you're a natural storyteller and you've grown up telling stories and this is just in your blood. People usually need some sort of framework, some sort of structure to help them make their stories clear so it doesn't become a blow by blow of everything that happened, or a then this, and then it was Wednesday, and then it was 5 o'clock, and then it was, the whole timeline thing, because you will lose your message so fast if you are embedding that level of detail in your story. And so when you understand that there's a framework, there's a structure to it, it makes it a lot easier. And in a nutshell, what you need is you need one character so that they can identify with that character and feel like they're part of your story. One moment. You want to bring them into one moment with you so that they can use that moment to transform, to take the first steps of the journey that you're taking them on, and then one path. So one character, one moment, one path is a structure that you can use in your story, and you're taking them on a journey and you're showing them what you have overcome to get to whatever predestined destination you are taking them through in your story. You're taking them somewhere. You're not just there to entertain them. You're there to take them on a journey. And if I was going to throw out one last one, which I won't answer because I'm going to kick it back to Aurora, it's where do I use my story? And my answer is everywhere. But Aurora is very uniquely positioned to talk about the specific places that we are going to help you use your story in this workshop that we're building, and then what we're doing today in our collaboration. So Aurora, I would love to hear your FAQs. Aurora, I'm going to introduce her because she introduced me, is an amazing, knock your socks off speaker mentor, and she helps people take their story and put it into a speaker pitch. She helps them draw out the themes of their stories. She helps them know where to send it, how to land stages, what kind of stages they should be looking for. And she is a phenomenal person to have in your corner.
Oh, Aurora. Shannon, thank you. Thank you so much. And some of you may have noticed, like, as Shannon was talking, you saw my head was kind of tipped down. It was tipped down because I was taking notes, I had my pen and paper out. That was some great stuff that Shannon just shared with us. So hopefully, you kind of grabbed a little bit of what she was saying or catch it on the replay or something. But Shannon, that was awesome. I, especially loved your last point, like the framework, one character, one moment, one path. I love that. That was phenomenal. I loved it. And I love being able to collaborate with Shannon and Robert, because all of the things that we each talk about just kind of all blend together. We're going to talk a little bit at the end about a collaboration opportunity that you can participate in with us. We're excited about something we've been cooking up, and so we hope you'll be excited about it too, and excited enough to join us. I do get some pretty regular questions when it comes to stages. I love helping, entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, consultants. I love helping them frame their expertise, their story into a pitch that will allow them to land stages, something that helps to set them apart. And so, I think everyone who wants to be on stage has some questions about, like, how do you do that? Or you start to get into the work of actually going after those stages. And so one of the questions I get usually goes something like, how come I'm not getting the stages I'm going after? Like I'm pitching, I offered myself as a podcast guest. I pitched a summit or a conference, and I'm not getting picked. Like I'm not getting the stage. I'm not landing it. And so this is the answer to that question. This is, I actually had a conversation with an expert who's getting ready to start her journey of landing stages. And she was actually kind of surprised to learn that this process that you enter into when you throw your name in the hat or put your name out there or put your proposal or your pitch out there, she was very surprised to learn that it's a competition. You are actually competing for a spot. You're competing for an episode on a podcast. You're competing for a spot on an agenda at a conference, whether it's a large conference for entrepreneurs or an industry conference related to your job. You are competing. It's a competition. And the goal, the prize, is the speaking, it's the stage. That's the prize. That's what you're competing for. And so when you shift your perspective and accept the fact that it's a competition, it challenges you to take what it is that you do, your expertise, your knowledge, your story, and frame it and present it in a way that allows you to stand out amongst from the crowd, from the others that are also pitching that stage. I do a lot of work with corporate clients. I pitch their experts for large conferences. I'm in the middle of working on a pitch or on a conference right now for one of my clients. There were 125 speaking spots at this conference, and that conference received almost 900 proposals for speakers. That's
Wow.
those are incredible odds. We had some great success, placed some, got a good number of spots on those stages. But the way that we approached it, the way that you go about it, this is something that's true for every speaker. Is you go into it knowing that it's a competition, and so your pitch from the topic to the title to the 100 to maybe 200, maybe 300 words that describes your presentation, your workshop, whatever it is that you're wanting to present and be on stage with, what you can share with a podcast audience, all of that has to work together to help you rise above and stand out from the crowd, because you're competing with others who are also wanting to be on that same stage. So it's really important that you take the time to consider all of those elements. The
Hmm.
topic, is it a perfect fit? The title, is it compelling and engaging? I always say that the selling of your session starts with the title. First, for that event planner, because they're looking, is this interesting? It's the first thing they see. And then if you land it, if you win the competition and you land the stage, that's what goes in the agenda. It's what goes in the program book. It's what goes on the website for the event. And you want to be able to draw as many audience members in to come and sit and listen to you. So what they're looking at is, at the first thing they read is the title. It's like, oh, you want them to lean in. It's like, oh, what's that? Like, I want to go to that. And then there's the description, the detail of that describes what you're going to present. So it's a competition. And so that's one of the reasons you might not be landing the stages that you're going after, is because you're not doing enough to frame what it is that you can share from the stage in a
Hmm.
way that allows you to rise above the crowd. So that's one of the questions that I get. Another question I get is, how important is my profile on social media platforms to my success at landing stages? And the truth is, it can be very important. We are all what I like to call Googleable. If you are being considered by an event, a podcast host, probably one of the first things they're going to do is Google you, or they're going to
Right.
go to your social media
Yeah.
handles and take a look. Like, what do you have there? Does does what you have on your profiles match what you've put in this pitch that you've provided?
Hmm.
um, those things are important. They need to line up. So on you don't need to be on all the platforms, but on the platforms you are on, your profile should match what it is that you're pitching. But they should support each other. And I'll give you again an example from the project that I'm working on right now. um, this particular conference had a need for a speaker. They had lost a speaker on a panel and reached out to ask, like, do you have anyone that could fit this panel, this part of the agenda? And so we shared a couple of names, and the first thing that I knew that they would want is the LinkedIn profile links for each of the speakers. So I made sure that those were there, and they ultimately ended up picking one of our speakers. I knew that they were going out to other folks to look for speakers, but I'm really convinced that one of the reasons that my speaker, got chosen is because her LinkedIn profile was such a great match for what they were looking for. And so now this person is going to be on a main stage panel at a national financial conference, which is awesome. So take a look at your profile. Think about what you're pitching and then take a look at your profile. Does it support that? Or if you're, let's say LinkedIn is the profile, your profile of choice, make sure it's up to date. Make sure there's some detail around it. Don't just list, don't let it be just a glorified resume. List some detail, some interesting facts. If Facebook is going to be your main profile, then make sure that there's a lot, that you're using all the space to make sure that there's great detail there that communicates what you're about and what you talk about. If it's Instagram, there's not as much space, so that means you're just going to have to be super targeted. Make sure it matches up. So those are important things. Your profile actually does matter. Last question, the last of the questions that I get pretty frequently is, what can I do while I'm waiting to find out if I've been selected for some of the gigs that I'm going after, while I'm waiting for podcast hosts to make decisions or summit hosts to make decisions? What can I do? And one of the things that I am thoroughly convinced of is that in this digital world that we live in, what's so awesome is that you can have a stage anytime you want. Anytime you want to be on stage, you can do it. That's what Robert and Shannon and I are doing right now. We have loved our collaboration and getting to know each other. We realize we have some great synergy that can be very beneficial to the communities that we serve. And so here we are. We created a stage for ourselves. I can't encourage you enough to use live video, to use streaming, to create video, to create opportunities for yourself. Again, we're all Googleable. And what happens when you create these little snippets or these opportunities, stages for yourself, is you make it easy for people to get a chance to see what it's like to have you on their stage, what your energy is like, what your personality is like, how you communicate about your favorite topic. And so I can't encourage you enough. That's a lot of what you need to be doing. You can speak even if you're waiting to get picked. And so these are some of the most frequent questions that I get. And the answers are not complicated, but they're super important to remember. There's the list of that's included in those answers are important. They're very basic, but important, and can be, a deciding factor on whether you start landing stages or not.
Love it.
Well, I'm going to introduce Robert, since Shannon did such a great job of introducing me. So I'm going to pass the microphone, as you will, to Robert. And Robert and we were talking about this probably a couple weeks ago, trying to remember exactly how we got connected. We think it was through a group, or maybe it was through some other means, some other digital connection, and then we found out we were in another group together. However it happened, we have always had a great connection right off the jump. Robert's had me as a guest on his podcast. Robert is, honestly, he is someone I admire so much, because he does such a phenomenal job of talking about how to create something for yourself as an expert in your topic, in whatever it is that you're an expert in. He is just a huge believer. Don't wait for someone else to create something for you. You create something for yourself. And I have watched him do it. Robert has just, especially in the season of pandemic that we've been in, Robert blows me away with how he continues to reinvent and reinvest in his business. And it totally shows. His expertise is phenomenal. If you're looking for how to build something for yourself, Robert's the one you want to follow, and he's going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to share just a little bit more on some of the things that we're cooking up and how you can get on a list to learn more when we're ready to roll out the details. Robert?
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'm super excited to get to follow both of you. I don't know that I can do my audience or our audience as much justice as you guys, but I'm so glad that I get to be in the room with each of you. I don't know if you had a chance to see the status or the caption for our video today, young ladies. But check this out, right?
Okay.
I said, Shannon is a story archaeologist. Aurora is a story pitch-ologist, and Robert is a story technologist.
I'm feeling it. So
I love
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah. Well, listen, and that's really what this is about, right? Because Shannon, as we've said, she's getting these questions, and really what she does is really help people unearth the story, and not just the story, but the right story that you can then use to create connection, to create movement, to create just an environment that helps people understand who you are and what you believe, right?
Yeah.
And then Aurora talks about the stages, and she's talked about, I love how she talked about, she has this framework or formula or just something that she's able to put together that allows people to get picked, right? As a matter of fact, Aurora's been using this word Googleable. If you've Googled Aurora, she's got this book, How to Get Picked.
Yeah.
Right? So go check out her stuff. So they've shared questions that people have asked them on a regular basis. And I get questions on a regular basis for as much as I've tried to veer away from this thing. This thing keeps following me, y'all. It's like stalking me. I keep saying that when I started my third business, one of the things that I was doing was I was training with an organization and training on how to develop or how to build online courses. And I started moving away from it. And here's my reason. I didn't want to have to keep up with the technology.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible, Shannon? I was like, now that we know them, I'm like, what?
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I like training. I like all this stuff. But this technology stuff, I mean, I like fiddling around with it on my own, but I don't want to have to keep up with it so that, people would then expect me to teach it. And then guess what happens, right? The questions that I get asked, I get questions about public speaking. I get questions about, okay, Robert, how do I become a paid speaker? I get those questions. I get questions about, okay, how do I format my speech? How do I tell stories more effectively? But if I get asked 10 questions, 6 of them are around the technology.
Wow.
Right? So
crazy.
I've had to kind of embrace some of that. And so question number one that I get is some form or some version of, Robert, what mic do I use? What light do I need? What background should I get? Because especially during this pandemic, right? Everybody's got this thing. They're on a virtual stage. And maybe people don't recognize it, but that's exactly what you're on. You decide to go live. You decide to get on a Zoom meeting. Okay. Maybe you're not going live because you're selling something, but maybe you're just in a meeting at work. Maybe you're presenting something to your team or to some executives. You're in a high stakes presentation. You are on a stage. You just are. You might try to shrink from it, but that's where you are. You're on a stage, right? And so when you get on the stage, how do you rock the stage? How do you make sure that the information that you share is something that connects with your audience? And you've heard this word connecting already, right? We've been saying that. Shannon talks about how to connect. Ooh, yeah. Aurora talks about how to connect. Ooh, yeah, right? Archaeologying, pitch-ologist, and then now technologying, right? How do you connect using this this virtual stage? And so the questions that I get are around a lot of the technology and the equipment. And so there's not really one specific answer. I can tell you what I use. And I use right now, I'm on this mic. It's a Shure SM7B, right? That's like 4 letters for people who are not familiar. You're kind of like, dude, SM7B, gobbledygook, blah, 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 blah. What on earth are you even talking about, dude? So it's not so much about the technology. It's about understanding the stage that you're on, understanding the stories that you need in order to be able to be effective on that stage. And then the technology can support that. Right. So you got to go to Shannon first. You can buy the equipment, you can buy the lights, but if you have no idea what you're going to be saying into this thing, or if you have no idea what effective information you need to be putting in this thing, then you're just kind of blowing smoke, right? You're just talking into a mic. You just spent a whole lot of money on a mic.
Like, now what?
Yeah,
like,
right.
So
you got to
now what?
yeah, you got to get with Shannon. You got to get with Shannon so you can unearth that right story. And here's the thing. Here's why I keep saying right story as well, because the situations evolve, the situations change, the audiences change, the stages change. Can you use the same stage, the same story on every stage? Yes, you can, but it shouldn't be the same version of it.
Right. There you go.
Right. Shannon was disagreeing with me for a second. He's like, Robert, I don't know. Right?
Yeah, we like, debate stage. Now we're having debate stage. But yeah, that's a really good point.
I mean, when one of your anchor points of your story changes, your story has to change.
Yeah. 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 So you could use little bits. I mean, I have what I call a signature story, right? And I use that signature story on different stages, but here's what happens. Sometimes I don't tell the entire thing. I use little pieces of it that are relevant to that specific audience, that are connective with that specific audience, so that, we can know each other. They can feel like, oh my gosh, Robert, you complete me. Right?
Build the trust, right? You're picking the pieces to build the trust.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like I'm veering away from technology, but here's what I'm really getting at. The technology is important, and those are questions I get all the time, but the technology is kind of like right here. The story, the right story, is here. You got to get this right. So maybe I should flip it, because the story is the foundation. Right? The story, the right story is the foundation. So the second question that I get is, Robert, how do I go live on different platforms? Because if you're checking us out right now, here's where we are. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on where else are we? Twitter. We're on Twitter, right? So we're on these different platforms right now, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, Robert, I saw you on Twitter." Yes, you did. Oh my gosh, I went to Facebook and I saw you again. Oh my gosh. I went to LinkedIn and I saw you again. Yes, you did. Oh my gosh, Robert, I saw you on Twitch. How are you at all these places at the same time? I am omnipresent. No, I'm not. I don't want to be blasphemous right now. Lightning strikes on the side. Don't say it. All right. Right. But you can, as far as social media goes, you can be omnipresent. Right? You can be omnipresent. How do you do that? There's a lot of different platforms that you can use. Whatever multi-streaming platform you can find. I'll name a couple of really quickly. Restream, StreamYard. Okay, those are a couple multi-streaming platforms that you can use. But again, why do I need to be in 6 places if I don't have, wrong way, the right story? Right? Right? Why do I need to be in 6 places if I can't do something with that story so that I can get on the right stages?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And
totally right.
If I can't get on the stages, or if I'm waiting to get on the stages, I can create my own stage. Right. But we still got to get the story. We still got to get the story right. So that's my number 2 question. And so I had a number 3 question, and I get this question a lot, but I don't want to dwell on it too much. I get, hey, Robert, do I need a YouTube channel? Do I need to focus on a YouTube channel? Do I need to focus, or should I focus on going live on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or what? TikTok, you can't go live yet, but I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming. Be soon. I'm sure it's coming. Right? Do I need, where's the first place I should go, Robert? Where's the first place that I should make sure that I have a presence? Wherever your people are.
That's right.
Wherever your audience is.
Don't be everywhere. Just be where they are.
Right? So, I mean, this can veer into so many different things. This can veer into marketing. This can veer into business coaching and operational strategy. We can do all of those things. But the foundation of all of this is, I mean, if you don't have a meaningful story to tell, then any success that you have or any relationship that you have with your audience is going to be fleeting. It's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be long term. You want to have long term connection with people. You want to make them feel like you know them and they know you. How do you do that? One of the best ways to do that is through stories, right? So that's all I got to share.
It's so true.
That's
I mean, story is the fuel for
Mhm.
everything else that you want to do. You can, story is the differentiator in your pitches. If you can just, detail your expertise but no story, then it's not as compelling as someone who has a story that goes with it. It's really, really the what Shannon teaches, and like all of what the three of us talk about, it all kind of works together. But the story
Mhm.
is the foundational part. It's kind of like what Robert said. Without the story, your equipment is just a great collection of technology.
Yeah.
Without the story, your pitch is less competitive when you're going out after a stage trying to land one. And without story, Shannon does so much work in helping people, command their story so that they can market and connect, build connection with their audience. One of the things that I love that she said is that, your story and what you include in your story should build trust. That's the
Yeah.
intentional part of it. It's got to build trust. And so, like all of this, just works so beautifully together. I just love that.
Yeah.
Just love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us, we shy away. I think I spoke about this yesterday on one of my Monday morning lives, that we shy away from our story because we don't feel like it's got enough teeth. We don't feel like it's dramatic enough. We don't feel like it can draw attention. And the truth is, every one of us has a story of overcoming something.
Yeah.
Every one of us has a story of learning a new skill. Every one of us has a story of being scared of something and then pushing through fear to do it. Oh yeah, I'm a scaredy cat. I've never pushed through fear. Okay. Do you know how to ride a bicycle? Okay. Do you know how to drive a car? Okay. Have you ever jumped into a pool? Okay. Every one of us has something that we can share, and we're kind of like, oh, it's not that important. But there's somebody who had the same fear you did. There's somebody who's behind you on the journey that if you say, hey, you know what? I used to be scared of that thing too. And, I jumped into the pool finally. Actually, I didn't jump in. I walked down the stairs. I went over where the railing was and I walked down and I was freaked out for about 3 minutes, but I went into the pool and you know what? It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. So,
That's the beautiful thing about story is that the surface details don't have to match.
yeah.
The emotion matches. That's where the connection, comes in. And sometimes people just need permission. This happened with a client call I had just a few days ago. We talked through the framework, the structure just a little bit, and she was sharing some additional stories with me. And at one point I just stopped and I was like, you can trust yourself to tell your stories. Like you get this. Like now that you see the framework, you're doing it naturally. Like I'm not
Yeah.
having to coach you through this. All you needed was the framework piece of it and you're doing it naturally. You can trust yourself. And that was like her big takeaway at the end of the coaching call. She was like, I so appreciate that you told me that I can trust myself. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's all it takes
Yep.
to see the framework, you'll be able to then see the right story and you pull it out and you start telling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true. And I think one of the things that's challenging for a lot of us is, we've been so busy, all of us kind of living our stories, that they really don't seem too remarkable to us.
Yeah.
And so we kind of need, we need to be able to bounce it off someone, to tell it to someone else so that it can land and connect a little bit and remind us that, the things that we've overcome, the fears, the challenges, the successes that we've achieved that have really created the expertise that we have to share from the stage is remarkable. It doesn't
Hmm.
seem remarkable to us because we've been living it. But we're not going to be talking, we're not trying to serve people who've been living it with us. We're trying to serve people who are trying to have their own remarkable success. And so they
Yeah.
need to be able to hear a story where we've been the hero of our own world to inspire them and encourage them that they can be the hero of their own story as well, and that we can help them with a path to get there. So,
Yeah.
it's really something to, to have someone else kind of listen to your story and go, wait, what? You did what? That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm glad you mentioned path because yeah, sometimes we can't see the path in our
Right.
own life because it's just life. We've just
Mhm.
lived it day after day. And sometimes it takes that other person to talk about it and be like, I see a clear path here, and reflect that back to you. And then you're like, oh, awesome.
Yeah. I'll never forget the first time that I heard my pastor use this line. He said, your mess is your message. Right.
Yeah.
And
So
it was one of those things that freed up a lot of people. They're like, my gosh, do you mean that there's a purpose in my pain? Do you mean that there's like something good that's going to come of this crazy stuff that's happening to me in my space?
yep.
Yes, there is. There is. And the thing that we need to do with that is do something with it, right? This it's not just about going through the pain, going through the uncertainty, going through the chaos, and it's like, oh well, that's my life. I had to go through it.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do with it now? What you've got a business, okay? What do you do with it? I've got a career. What do you do with it? You've got people around you that may need some encouragement. What do you do with it? And so I think what we are talking about and the thing that we are coming up with is a way not just to live with your message, but to then magnify that message. How do you get that message out into the marketplace in a way that it not only transforms others, but here's the big word. How do you monetize that a little bit? Right? Because here's the thing, and here's what's exciting for me. Here's what's exciting for me. A lot of us, we go through these experiences and we don't recognize that there's value in our experiences, like literal value. Like you can literally build a business off of the stuff that you've gone through. Right. So how do you do that? Well, you've got to figure out how to magnify your message. And so I think that's what the three of us, that's the core of why we've come together, because we want to be able to share with you guys, y'all that are out there, how to do just that, from unearthing it and finding it to pitching it to then what are the technologies that I need to utilize or understand in order to amplify it even further.
That's
Right? Anything that you all want to say about that before we unveil the what we're doing next?
I'm just sitting here actually like you are such a great synthesizer. I'm just like taking it in, like, watching you pull the threads from the different
Mm-hmm.
things that we've said, because this isn't orchestrated. We didn't spend a lot of time planning it. But every time we have one of these lives, I just sit here and enjoy how well aligned our
Yeah.
different talents are and the way that we approach story and how to get it out there and magnify it. So I just had to throw that out there. But
Love it.
I magnify your message. There is something that is waiting to be magnified in who you
Yeah.
are and the way that you show up in the world. And if you have the intention to serve, to inspire, to empower, let's find your story. Let's unearth it. Let's wrap it up in an amazing pitch and let's get it out there on a live stage so that it can be
Yeah.
magnified and you can connect. You can find that connection with the people that you can serve. And then you'll really, really be able to dial in on the value that you bring to the table. And you'll find the people that will see the value in that and want to pay for it, want to experience, want to go deeper with you.
Love it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think all of us have had the experience, and probably a lot of people who've, who are watching, who, we may have had some success with landing some stages and are just looking to take that to the next level and experience it a little bit more. There's probably no greater way to bring people into your world, into your community, into giving them an opportunity to experience you than through stages, whether it's a live stage, whether it's a virtual stage, whether it's your own stage that you create for yourself, whether it's a podcast. You give people a chance to experience you, and you inspire them, encourage them, educate them, motivate them with your story. Stages do that for you. And what that does is allows you to bring people into your community that want to experience more of what it is that you're offering. It allows you to build a business, allows you to, build a community, a tribe, an audience for yourself that wants what it is that you have to offer. And, for those of you who are maybe just, like you see other people on stages, you maybe even be just looking at the three of us and saying, well, gosh, I think I could do that, but oh gosh, I don't know. Like, don't for a minute think that you don't belong in the places where this is happening, where you are doing what we are doing. This is available to anyone. Don't think that your story is not enough, that you are not enough. You are absolutely enough. You just need the right guidance. And I think what we, the three of us, are excited about is being able to bring our respective places of guidance together into something that's awesome. So I'm going to let Robert talk about the awesomeness that we are trying to bring.
So hold on 1 second. So you guys ready? Hold on. Here it is. Hold on. You guys ready? Let's do a little reveal here. So we are super excited about what we're calling the Magnify Your Message experience. And so why we're excited about this is because it's not just one of those 1 hour webinars where you kind of hop on and people kind of go right here, surface, and say, yeah, you should do this. And it would be good for you to do this. And then bye-bye. And now you're kind of left on your own to kind of figure some stuff out. What the three of us decided to do was like, listen, we are committed to the deep dive. We're committed to making sure that you not only get the information, but you are then equipped to go to the next step. Stages 2, stages 3, stage 2, 3, and 4, so that you can literally, when you're done with us, you can go out and monetize. Right? Absolutely. You can not just feel good about sharing your story, but you can then say, wait a minute. I see a couple of zeros. I see 3 zeros. I see 4 zeros behind a number here. And maybe it's worth it to tell my story again on stages. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you have maybe you're not saying that you want to be a professional speaker. But maybe you have a business. Maybe you have a t-shirt business. Maybe you have a mental health, a therapy business. Maybe you have a business where you train people how to make sneakers. I don't know. I'm making stuff up, right? whatever it is.
Why did you?
Yeah. Why did you get into that? Why did you get into that? And then how can you bring people along so that they can either do that thing that you're doing, or they can find value in the products and services that you offer? So you do that by magnifying your message, a workshop to discover your story, develop your pitch, and deliver your message on your own stage. And we're spending nearly a full day with you to do this. So Wednesday, November 10th, we're going to be doing this Magnify Your Message, not just workshop, not just the Magnify Your Message class, not just the Magnify Your Message moment, but the Magnify Your Message experience. We want it to be memorable for you. right? We
Absolutely.
want it to be memorable for you, and we want you to be able to not just get the information, but move with the
Right.
information
Right. This
when you're
is
done. So,
definitely going to be a productive experience. We want,
yeah.
you need to come, prepared to do some work. We want you at the end of the day to feel like, okay,
Mhm.
I have got some stuff. I can go out and use this. Like as soon as you close off your time with us, I can go out and use what it is that has been created, has been developed in the day that you've spent with us. I think the three of us have been parts of, workshops, events, whatever that, didn't quite deliver on the promise. And so we
Mhm.
are super committed to making sure that this is a meaningful, deep, productive experience. So
Yeah.
the 10th is
Yeah.
coming. Look for it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So do me a favor. Go to magnifyyourmessage.live/info. The full page, the full landing page will be up in a few days, but we want you, if you're ready to dive in, if you're ready to magnify your message, we want you to let us know, and we want you to take action right now so that we can send you the information, or we can even contact you personally to make sure that this is something that is going to work best for you. Okay. So go to magnifyyourmessage.live/info. That information is on the screen right there. All right. Make sure that you go on over to magnifyyourmessage.live/info, or you can reach out to any of us. If you're connected to us on social media somewhere, slide into Shannon's DMs. No, that doesn't sound right. All right.
That's right. I did volunteer that last time. I will stand by that.
All right. Go to Shannon's inbox, email her, go to her website, connect with her, go to Aurora's website, connect with her, ask questions, because I remember being, what's the word that I want to use? I remember seeing workshops or seeing experiences or seeing resources that I needed, and I was kind of like, man. And they were like, nope, you got to sign up today. You got to do it today. You got to do it today. And I'm like, listen, I want to ask a couple of questions. I want to ask a couple of questions. I want a day. I want to ask some questions. And we want to be able to answer your questions. Okay. We want to be able to answer your questions because we're committed to making sure that this is a valuable, useful experience for you. So
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Join us. Yep. Join us. Even if you just comment, have a question, like ask it in the comments of this live, like, hashtag replay. Like we're looking for those questions. We want to answer them. We want you to, be able to join us with confidence. I think all of us, have had experiences with, different audiences, different groups we've worked with. Some of us have, I know Shannon and I have done workshops together. I know Robert's done, workshop experiences. Shannon does. This is a different type of experience. And so we want you to feel confident. We could not be more excited about being able to bring our collective expertise together and allow it to work for you. We want you to be able to finish this year, finish it well, finish it with some tools that will allow you to kind of spring into 2022 feeling very confident. How great would it be to get your story and your pitch together and have a good sense of what technology needs to be in place for you, get that all set up and in place, and to spend December, reaching out, pitching yourself, sending in material, doing live streams, and getting yourself set up for a great 2022. I mean, how awesome would that be to finally break down all the barriers and all the things that have kept you from doing it and get yourself on your way?
What a perfect Christmas gift to yourself. That
Absolutely.
momentum that you have been dreaming of and longing for and wanting, and all of these things are getting in the way. Jump in with us. We'll see you. We'll hear you. We'll meet you right where you are.
Absolutely.
And we've got a path that's curated to help get you where you can be pitching and creating your own stages in December. In November, if you're, you can hit it the week after this workshop. You can use November and December to really get yourself out there, get your story out there, gain visibility, build expertise, build credibility, and trust.
Absolutely.
Love it. Listen, y'all, we're going to get on out of here, but we're going to see you again next week. We'll let you know what day and time we're going to go live again. But the biggest thing that I'd like for you to do, and the biggest thing that I'd like to leave with you today, is that your story has not ended. Your story is chapter by chapter, and you get to determine what the next chapter is. So what's your next chapter going to be? And then
Absolutely.
once you determine that chapter, are you going to be satisfied with it, or are you going to use it for something specific?
Yep.
Our job is to help you magnify it. Our job is to help you amplify it. Our job is to help you bring it to a place where you can not only transform somebody else's life, but you can maybe transform your life financially as well. All right. So listen, y'all, join us on November 10th. Make sure you go to magnifyyourmessage.live/info, and we'll see you at the Magnify Your Message experience on November 10th. See you.
Bye.